Welcome to Upticks with Jake Falcon, founder and CEO of Falcon Wealth Advisors. In this podcast, we help high net worth individuals overcome financial complexities. We do this by enhancing financial literacy and discussing topics in a language free from industry jargon. Join us as we help explain exactly what having a solid financial plan means, as Jake draws from years of experience in helping hundreds of individuals get financially organized and focused on their goals. We hope you find Upticks educational, entertaining, and shareable. Now, on to the show.
Welcome back to the show. This is episode 261, Retirement Lifecycle. Cory, thank you for joining back on Upticks.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And we're flipping the script a little bit on today's episode. All I know is the title, Retirement Lifecycle, which is something that you and I talk about often, but we're going to let you lead the conversation a little bit. Before we dive in, though, we do like to share some personal things that are going on in our lives. Before we do that, though, I want to thank our audience. Our subscriber count continues to grow. So again, if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to subscribe and share our content. We're ultimately doing this show to enhance financial literacy. So again, thank you. And we're having a lot of fun while we're doing it. Cory, what's going on in your personal life?
I'm not going to say that I almost bought a new car, Jake, but I was tempted. This past weekend, I had a rental car that was a really sweet BMW M850 convertible that I enjoyed driving around with the top down, even though it was 100 degrees. Only a few chances to drive a car like that. So it was a loaner car from the dealership, but turned it in, back in my car now, all good.
So you drive an SUV and this was a car. Was that a big change? Was that a lot different?
Yes, much different.
So would you ever go back to owning a car, or are you sticking with the SUV?
For now, my plan is to stick with the SUV.
Got it.
I wouldn't mind having one of these as another car, but that's down the road. So
one of my high school buddies told me this, and I'm not against people having multiple cars because a lot of our clients do, but he made a good point. He's like, you can only drive one at a time.
It's true.
Which is kind of put a cloud over me ever buying a second car. Not say
that's like saying though, Jake, you can only swing one golf club at a time. You only need one.
Yeah, well, maybe that's not different because you could have a car for the nice days and gas mileage, and SUV for the crappy days in the snow. So I can see that. It's kind of like a golf club, different types of golf clubs. Speaking of golf, I shouldn't say finally, but I won a tournament, Cory. I won the Falcon Wealth Advisors tour event at Sycamore Ridge Golf Course in this heat. I think it was over 100 degrees and the humidity felt like it was 80%. I think they said it was 50, but I mean, I don't know too many times where I've played a round of golf where it's over 100 degrees and the ground is wet, which that made it extremely difficult because normally when it's hot, the golf ball at least is rolling out. Yeah. So it's almost like we were playing after a rain and we were having to handle the heat. So I was really excited about that. It was a great group of people playing. It was dangerous out there because it was so hot, but I shot 75 on a very difficult golf course from the back tees in a very difficult climate. And so it's not even so much about winning. It was about shooting a low score under really, really, really tough conditions. So I was pretty pumped. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was excited for you. I was happy to see that.
I didn't really think I would win. I knew I would be one of the low ones because it was tough. And I beat the guys in my group. So that's always a good sign. And they're pretty good golfers, obviously. So I beat them. So I was like, well, I beat two guys at least today. But it was a struggle. It was tough.
Let me ask you, though, do you think the reason that you won this tournament in the heat and conditions and everything else, do you think that it being that hot almost simplified it, like down to the point where you're just like, all you can focus on is the shot that you're hitting and surviving to the next hole? I would imagine in those conditions, like for me, I don't play a lot of golf because I would struggle so much just between my ears playing the game, right? You could get in your own head, overthink things. I would almost think if it's that hot, it's like, I just need to hit the best shot that I can and then go hit the next one. Maybe not.
Yes, that would be an argument. I think I grew up in that type of environment and I don't think it bothered me as much as the other people. I did use a lot of golf gloves because I was sweating through them, which is gross, but that helped that I had a lot of golf gloves. But I don't think I thought any less or any more, believe it or not. I think I've
Yeah.
gotten some very good lessons from some great instructors this year. I think some things are starting to click. And I counted up my drives, and I think all but like 2 or 3 of my drives were good. And I putted very well. I putted very
Just do
well.
that
I
every
mean,
time.
yeah, I know exactly. So again, almost every one of my drives was really good or pretty good, good enough. And I didn't miss any putts. I don't think I missed any putts inside like 7 feet, probably. Like I
Pretty
made,
good.
and I made a couple of longer ones. So I putted very well, which
You
is a
chipped
big
in for birdie too, right?
I did chip in. I chipped in for birdie on a par 3, which was pretty clutch because it was a really hard par 3. So the fact that I made
Nice.
birdie on a tough hole also was kind of a big deal. So
Well
that's when
done.
I knew. That's when I knew was my day. I was on the back. I was on my second 9, and I knew after I chipped in from birdie, I was like, "Here we go. It's gonna be a good. It's gonna be a good round." Like I was like, I knew it was gonna be a good round. After that, I was like, you know, you just
And it
know. I
was.
just knew. I was like, and
I
then
know
I
what you
parred
mean.
the next, and then I think I parred out. I think I birdied that par 3, and I think it was like the 13th hole maybe, and then I parred the rest of them, something like that. Anyways, all right, that's enough golf talk today. So, all right, let's hear your topic. So, you wanted to talk about retirement life cycles. Please feel free, tee one up.
All right. So just to give some quick context for the show here today, Jake, you and I meet with clients seemingly, almost every day. And we've met with a lot of clients over the years. And when we talk about retirement, we talk about a 30-year period. For some people, more than 30 years. For some people, it's less. But the point being, it's, I think some people almost think about it's like the second half of their life as far as retirement goes. But what I wanted to spend some time on today, Jake, was just sort of talking through what a 30-year retirement looks like and what changes through that, and how your advice to clients might change through that too. So my first question would be, Jake, when you think about retirement and think about the first 10 years or so of retirement, we've called that the GoGo years, and they've been referred to as that. But I'm curious, Jake, what advice do you give? What advice would you give someone who's getting ready to retire tomorrow for the next 5 to 10 years, the first phase of retirement? What would you tell them?
Yeah, so I love this topic. Thank you for choosing it. So the GoGo years, like you said, is typically the first decade, and I am in my 17th year of being a wealth advisor with a particular focus on retirement planning. And how many years is this for you, Cory?
This is 12.
12th year.
12.
Okay. So both of us have seen our original clients, respectively, have been retired for over a decade. And what I advise clients that are looking to retire and plan out the next 5 or 10 years is to go do those things that they want to do. Now, you don't want to, run with caution in the wind or whatever they say. You want to still make sure your plan is going to work for the next 30 years. However, if there's a cruise, if it's Europe, if it's a truck, if it's a new house, we want to make sure those things are built into the plan, because I've seen it where my clients that have now been retired for 15 years are slowing down, and that's okay. That's part of life, like a life cycle. However, these GoGo years, I do encourage clients to, believe it or not, and this isn't not advice necessarily, but some clients can afford to spend a little bit more because they have the energy, and just as all humans slow down, eventually they're going to slow down. And so I want to make sure that they're checking off their items. Also, another quick tip, I see a lot of clients get a side hustle in these years with the gig economy. You could literally be an Uber driver, Uber Eats. You could start a blog. There's a ton of different ways to make money. Open up your own storefront, sell stuff online. I mean, you can go on, and it's kind of cool to see some clients making some money doing things that they have a passion for. What's your take on it?
Yeah, that's really good. I read this recently, Jake, about somebody sort of framed this as like the early retirement adventures. You almost think about it as the first 10 years. They talked about mid-retirement realities and then late retirement reflections. And I thought that was kind of like an interesting way to, just frame that or to think about it. But you really, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head as far as, pursuing the hobbies and passions, traveling, doing the things you want to do, part-time work, volunteer opportunities, whatever it might be. I really think about those years for a lot of people as, when they started saving in their 401k 30 years ago, or 25 years ago, or 20 years ago, what did they envision they would be doing when they weren't working anymore?
Those go-go years. You've got the energy. Let's go do some stuff. But again, I think it's also another point there. It's really good time to check in on your values and your purpose to make sure you're not just blowing money to blow it. So again, if you want to spend money on golf, go ahead, but you don't need to go overboard necessarily, or maybe you don't even like golf like you, Cory.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't want people that are retired thinking they need to play golf because that's what everybody does when they retire. So
Right.
check in with your values. Where do you like to spend time and money? And let's cut out the things that either aren't healthy, or you don't particularly like, or you find as a waste of time. So I think it's a good time also to check in on your values and cut some things that are costing you money.
Yeah, that's good. And just one quick point to add to that, because I'm glad you brought that up and mentioned that, because my experience, and I don't know if this is the experience for you, Jake, and it's not the case for everyone, but for a lot of clients that I have worked with for a long time, meet with regularly, people getting ready for retirement, I also find that people at that point in their life too, it's not out of the norm that they felt like, we've lived in a big house, we've driven, cool cars, we've raised our kids, whatever it might be. To your point about checking in on the values, I do feel like, someone's perspective at 55 or 60 is a whole lot different. And the way that they spend money is going to be a whole lot different too, because I know that I work with a number of clients that it's more important to them to be able to travel, spend time with their families, do the things that they want to do. That just matters more to them than the car they drive or the big house they live in.
Right.
Good. So, how about the next 10 years, Jake? Those mid-retirement realities that we've talked about, or the SloGo years, is what we've talked to clients about. What advice? So think, I don't know, 75 to 85 years old, or 70 to 80 roughly. What does your advice look like for those clients?
Yeah, these clients are looking to simplify, cut costs. So it's like they also call it the expansion and the contraction of life. So it's like they're done spending, they're done traveling as lavishly, and they just want to enjoy their health and enjoy their family or their grandkids or whatever they have going on in their immediate life and their immediate family, and start selling some of those toys that maybe they have a boat and they don't use anymore. Or maybe they don't golf anymore. It's tough for this one because not all clients want to slow down in their 70s,
Right.
so that's fine too. But again, it's really continue with that value alignment, start downsizing a little bit, shredding some of the fat, right? Where you're purging money, and really just try to enjoy and stay healthy and happy. Really is where I see in these SloGo years. It can be a wonderful time for clients. Actually, frankly, could be the best time of their lives. Also, because things are simple. You think about it. You had a 30-year, career, and then you checked off all these boxes in retirement. And now you've been there, done that. And now you can really just go with the flow and enjoy things. And I think that's a beautiful time for a lot of our clients in their 70s. What do you
Totally
think?
agree. I totally agree. It's I just feel like that's a time for people. Probably this is relevant at each one of these different, cycles in retirement that we talked about. But I think that that is another natural time for people to sort of reevaluate their goals and their plans and what's of most importance. Because it does change. And I think also for the, clients in that sort of demographic is also about, really striking the balance of, productivity, whatever that might mean to them, along with leisure, along with their health. And, I suppose that's relevant for almost anyone, but I feel like especially in those years.
Yeah, that's good. Good. And what about the
Good.
last decade?
Yeah. So the last decade, the NoGo years, or the late retirement reflections, whatever you want to call it, contractions, whatever you want to call that. What advice do you give those clients, Jake?
Yeah, just to enjoy the day, to stay healthy, take care of themselves, enjoy what they can. It's still not too late to learn new things necessarily, right? So I still continue to urge them to change their perspective or learn and grow. But it's really just trying to focus on their health and their happiness, even more so than those SloGo years. And, making sure that, their family is taken care of. Their legacy is thought out, and it's a tough time. It's sad for a lot of people as they get older. So it's tough. But again, just enjoying every day, living happy and healthy, and again, making sure that your family understands your purpose and you've got a plan and that your plan's still intact.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's also a level of, well, it can be sad or a difficult period. I don't think that's the case for everyone, because it's just different, right? Things change. And I think that, in addition to what you mentioned, the other piece of advice that I give to those clients is just, making sure that there's still ways to just have social engagement, right, with other people, to make sure that, I don't know if that's community involvement, if it's just social engagement with friends and family, whatever it might be. I think that having those networks of people close to you is important too.
You're right. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially then.
Yes, it's the last time you want to isolate yourself. So again, sticking with community and family and friends and staying engaged, I think is important also. Good point.
Yeah. And I think just, just coming to terms with, potential physical limitations. I think that's relevant too. It really is for people at that point. And I guess that's really I certainly have physical limitations now, Jake, that I didn't have 10 years ago. So I can imagine, at that point, but that doesn't mean that, things are drastically different. It just sort of, reevaluate priorities and what's important.
Yeah. It's crazy to think, right? I mean, it's awesome. 30-year retirement. I mean, that's almost as long as you've been alive, Cory. So think about your whole life of not working or not going to school because, a big chunk of your life you were in school. So I think it's pretty crazy. It's pretty awesome. And that's why people work hard and our clients and they save their money. And so to go fulfill their purpose and be with their family and friends and travel and do other things. So we're very fortunate and humbled that we get to be involved with these clients as they go and carry out this 30-year stretch. And it's really neat. Again, some of my first clients have been retired for 15 years now. And it's pretty cool to see and hear and experience things with them that they've gotten to do from the, fruits of their labor and all the hard work that they put in to save their money. It's very cool. Very awesome. Good topic.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't agree more because ultimately the work that clients hire us to do, right? As far as, and that can be, wide ranging, but if we just sort of think about it as tax planning, asset management, financial planning, all of those things, that we are ultimately doing with clients, from my perspective, one of the last, 12 or so years that I have been working as an advisor and meeting with clients, one of the unanticipated highlights, one of the best parts of that is what you just described, Jake, which is, being able to work with clients and help them get to where they want to go. Or when people have ideas for the things that they want to do in retirement, and helping them figure out how to make those things a reality. That's a lot of fun. And I think that is what, drives a lot of the people here and at Falcon Wealth Advisors and the relationships we have with clients is we want to help clients understand what their financial plan means to them. And we want to help them understand how to accomplish their passions, their goals, and their priorities.
Right. Right. It's good. That's exactly right. And again, very cool part that we get a small part that we play in our clients' lives. That's awesome.
Excellent. What do you, when we just take a step back, Jake, and zoom out bigger picture and think about this though, one other question I would have for you is, I'm curious how you encourage clients to how do you tell people to find the right balance between doing what it is that they want to do, particularly those first 10 years of retirement, and not jeopardizing their future?
Well, we plug it in the plan, right? So ultimately, if they want to buy a boat or a second home or whatever, we got to plug it in the plan. And then if they have chosen to overspend, then we explain to them very clearly that like you're spending today, but you're going to have to cut it tomorrow. And a lot of clients are okay with that actually. But again, we just want to make sure that we're clear, that we're having regular review meetings and that they understand where they sit with their financial plan and the implications that they're having. And we're here for them if they have any questions. Now, the beauty is it's good and bad, but your financial plan is designed to change. It's not a roadmap. It's not set in stone. I mean, we've had clients in the past, wonder why their financial plan doesn't look the same to the penny that it did 5 years ago. And it's like, look, you might have spent more money. The markets went up, the markets went down, taxes may have changed, whatever. So that's why you just got to check in with it and realize, hey, what I'm doing today is based on the information that we have today, but we're going to update this plan. We're going to review it. And if things start to look not as good, then we're going to make adjustments, and we're going to have to. That's just life. It's just like if you lose your job, you get fired, you got to make adjustments, or you get a demotion, or your spouse loses their job, or you get a raise, or you get a promotion, or you switch jobs. Like just like throughout your whole life, things have changed and things have come and gone. The same rolls true with the financial plan. So again, we don't want clients to throw caution in the wind here and just do whatever they want, because we don't want them to run out of money. And everybody has a ceiling, Cory. Even Elon Musk has a ceiling. So we like to show clients what that ceiling is, and then track it as we go. That's a good point, though. I'm glad you brought that up here.
Yeah, because we do talk, certainly on this show, there's a lot that we talk about. But I think for, people that are thinking about financial planning and everything else involved, my observation is that people put a ton of thought into everything that happens before retirement or getting ready for retirement, making sure the assets, the tax, everything that we talk about. And it's very important. But I don't think that people think about or talk about as frequently what it's going to look like if you're retired for 20 to 30 years, what you're going to do at that time. And also my observation is that people sometimes also, they need it's a helpful reminder when we meet and review things together that is an ongoing process, whether or not you're working, because life does happen and things will continue to change. And that the whole point in establishing the plan is not to get someone to retirement, it's to get them to and through retirement.
That's right. That's good. Yeah, because it's not the finish line. Retirement is when you're starting.
Right. I know. Exactly. That's exactly right. And there's of course unknowns, right? There's a lot of variables. There's a lot of wild cards from a financial planning standpoint. I also think that, we need to make the assumption that, a lot of folks have longevity from a financial planning perspective, but that's another reality. It is a reality of what we do, is that it's not going to be guaranteed that everybody's going to make it until 90 or older. And that's why these phases can look different for different people at different times. But ultimately working with someone that understands them and can really help give advice and meet people where they're at and understand what's going on in their lives and what's important. I think that can be a really valuable resource for someone to and through retirement.
Right. Good.
All right, Jake.
Good topic.
That's all I had prepared.
I love it. Well, thank you, Cory. And thank you all for tuning in. We are going to be switching up the format, so make sure you tune in next week. Cory and I are going to start talking more about current events and what's going on in the markets and planning landscape. So be sure to tune in. We're going to switch it up a little bit. We're excited about that. Also, if you have any questions that you'd like us to answer on air, again, we're not going to give advice on this show, but if you have any general questions, I think it'd be a good idea for you to go ahead and email those out directly to our communications manager. That'd be Luke@FalconWealthAdvisors.com. Then Luke can make sure that we answer your question right here on Upticks. So thank you again, Cory, for the topic. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Stay cool if you're out there in Kansas City or anywhere in America right now. Things pretty hot. But thank you again, and we hope you have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Upticks. Click the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes become available. Also, be sure to visit our website, FalconWealthAdvisors.com, and click the Contact Us button if you'd like to meet with Jake and his team.